is one of the last chances to hit top 5 for so many teams. Levin and Reese have broken down so many of the stakes here for basically a majority of the teams playing today, and the map has slightly changed. So this should be one of the most exciting qualifiers I think we've ever watched before, Clay.
There's so much pressure, and it's on so many different teams. And like Levin broke down, there are so many players that are landing in these spots that have already been qualified from. That even is more pressure on top of them, as well as we get a nice look at where Simi Stacks is going to play.
Yeah, we'll see Malibuca landing in right with Mustache right there too. The whole trio rolling by, also trying to figure out exactly where Refsguard's going. I see a few shots being fired, so the contestation is definitely hot off the rip, but we'll see Malibuca kind of driving away, trying to get that slurp truck, I believe, or anything else on this side of the map. I mean, there's so many different trios to keep an eye on. I like the fact that Levin and Reese also brought up Snazy, Nate, Skyed all the way at the back end of the desk. I mean, that should be the team that's getting first today, right, Clay? I mean, they have the spot that Queasy kind of just won from last week. It's looking all good, and there's no one contesting them.
It's set up for them. They have the path there. They just have to be able to execute on it. And I don't know if that's going to be the game plan they're used to playing.
No, definitely, because, you know, the big thing about these guys is when it comes to different types of end games or just trying to adapt to different zones, that's where struggle comes in. Sometimes that second surge is also something that they struggle with when they're moving about in their games. But we'll see what actually ends up breaking down. We can see the differences in teams right now at Steamy as well. I believe there's just maybe an NPC nearby. I see 4 arrows, but all of them are mostly the same color. So maybe Refsguard moves somewhere else entirely. But we'll tune in just a second.
Seems like they did, and I'm not surprised. Refsguard's, to me, it never screamed a player that was very aggressive early, doesn't really want to go for that connection, really wants that late game play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, where is he going to go? Because MXR, I believe, moved from stealthy all the way down to where Refsguard was landing last week. Craggy is completely free. I mean, there's no questions here at all for Taste and Reason Chappies. There's a reason, right? So many people like Levin as well are predicting these guys to do really well overall. But the thing is, you know, last week they were here too. They had it uncontested. Granted, there's so many elite teams also playing there. On week number 2, these guys are on a pedestal to kind of hit that top 5.
They are, and even more so for Chapix, right? He's won out of here before. He's won at FNCS out of Craggy. I don't think I've ever seen the man land anywhere else on this map than Craggy Cliffs. So there's still a lot of knowledge that he has there, but moving Taste on and Reason over here, I think they needed that time to adjust this season because they're not Craggy teams, and it's a completely different play style. Back in the day, you would see Craggy immediately rush up to that satellite and then over to Steamy or any of those houses there. Not as much this season.
Yeah, not at all. And last week too, Kuro and Essie just kept fighting over that big hill house over and over again. There's a little bit of loot and lots of delay there, so not much surge for Tasten's team to get. Over at Corny though, things were always getting crazy. Fights that end up taking 3 different zones. You're in the basement, but this time for Krusty, for Relvis, people that we've seen here many times before, it looks like once again things are relatively free and there's no contest off spawn.
This is one of those ones that if you're going to contest it, it has to be a quick fight. Right, Misty, you can kind of draw that fight out a little bit. There's some other ones as well, but Corny, you really got to do it quickly.
Yeah, Corny usually contested, not this time, where the fights actually are across the map. One of them happening just at the crash station south of Believer Beach. I believe that Freemox team might have gone down, but there were trades with Marcota at the same time. We're tuning in somewhere onto one of these crash sites. We're seeing exactly if Launch can clean things up against what looks to be still lost the Rock. We'll see what happens if it is about drive, about power. If he's going to stay hungry and devour, low HP inside the box right now, and Launch really has to go back.
And just a quick stat, before this fight ends up finishing, collectively the players have 179 finals appearances. That's a great amount of finals experiences, and that just shows the caliber of players that are playing today. Skillos is going to be able to pop the medkit, and with that legendary pump, that's going to give them the advantage because the other player, oh wow, all of a sudden now a third party coming into this equation out of nowhere. And that's the thing this season, if you're not ending fights quickly anywhere, doesn't matter. These slipstreams, people are going to find you.
Yeah, he's got the reboost, but he also just has 4 HP. Needs to bring 2 people back up. The big bounce back, and now he's completely 0 out of time. That's done for him. Robon moves in, picks things up. Axe Force 2. I believe these guys are landing a little bit near Holly, so a definite nice third-party jump engagement to kind of wrap things over.
And that's the issue with landing here, is because everyone's going to run a rotate there. If you're landing in this area and you're not ready for that fight, well, everyone else is going to be ready.
Yeah, you got Robot on the south. Aqua will be looking for that too. On the right side at Boney, and then Vidil, if he wants to push down here, that's a big option too. But I believe that Believer Beach fight will always go between them and then the coast on the left where Bloomy's team is. We'll tune back in with the Siptos coming in. Floki, kind of the main attraction, I feel like, for this week. First coming in from round 3. And usually these guys are always stuck between so many teams. I like to call them these Storm Surgers, so to speak. Everyone just farms off of them, Clay. But this time, there's no one really contesting their POI. They get to move out early, get to explore the map through the skies, it looks like, too. And it's looking kind of nice for them.
And that's very interesting, considering Misty Meadows is one of those POIs that you're naturally able to split just based on how the POI is made. There's a left side and a right side, and you don't ever have to interact with each other. But they have claimed the entire POI, the surrounding crash site, and now are able to just rotate freely at will. This is great for them.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like, just the game 1 thing, because we saw it in the first week too. You're right, that's a lot of chess. And by game 3, game 4, people are like, hey, this is ridiculous. I'm tired of landing in the corner of a closet on the right side of the map. Let me just see what's opened up. And Misty's definitely a spot people jump at. Westguard, though, kind of swapped over to a little bit of the middle of the map, not too far away from home at Steamy. And it looks like they're doubling back, running back home to make it in time for curfew, maybe, because nothing's really gone super correctly at their draw spot. They have a little bit of loot, some ammo, still wondering exactly where they pivoted to. But this looks like a game they can at least play for now, just to get that material count up.
And with going to the orchard, they'll be able to. Luckily, Saul Rescard did have a majority metal there in the inventory, and with this tomato pizza place as well, remnants of old Tomato Town. Ooh, although Hen's gonna take a lot of damage, this should be good to farm back up. But someone we haven't talked about and touched on today, Shayo, is Mongrel.
I mean, I think the rest of the community has, so I'm trying to play a little bit of balance on it overall. As Hen's in a little bit of trouble, he should be fine. But yeah, Mongrel, I mean, big questions, you know, new team, very similar spot to Jerk. He was also a little bit of his, you know, this season's teammate, so to speak, right? We'll see exactly what ends up going down with that team in a sec. They're landing all the way over at Logjam and have a bunch of obstacles to kind of go by. We're tuning into a team that's actually hitting a bunch of these hurdles and obstacles, Hen down to what looks like long-range fire. You wouldn't really expect it. And they have the reboot, I presume, just need to go and find a place to get him back up.
That was very interesting that he went down that quickly, but luckily with the abundance of reboot vans in this season, it's not really that big of a deal anymore. You also have that 5 minutes. So yeah, Rescard went up right away, got the card, but they could have played it off a little bit there. You do see Chulix going for the immediate reboot inside of the orchard, so get that back up. But when you reboot somebody, it's always a different person. They come back with lost mats, they come back with a different mindset, and you really have to be careful about that. It's like, yeah, I just got rebooted, but then it's like, you know, you don't have as much to your resources. But teams that are going to be very well loaded up. Look at Crow's inventory.
Yeah, they're on a very different type of path compared to other teams we've seen. Murstache is not stopping though. Malibuca picking up a little bit of a drive through as they run away from their POI. And they're right under what seems to be Hen as well. Rescard has left the big base though, and he's by himself. What happened to Trulix?
It seems like he went down from the reboot, but we talked about them contesting each other, and yet they didn't, but they still somehow found each other on the map and are ended up taking each other out.
This is just completely unfortunate on the side of these two trios. And I'm wondering, once again, maybe the analyst has the answers afterwards as to what Rescard's game plan is now in terms of just the loot differential. You can see how good and well off Murstache is just completely, and in Malibuca, they're going to be completely going away with Shy, so Rescard's going to be left by himself, and I feel like he's going to be able to hit that reboot again. Yeah,
it's a 5-minute timer. He's got enough time to sit there, farm back up, grab all the mats that he wants, and just go for the reboot.
His role's not really on fire right now. Can't say the same for Crow, though. The Ox and company, I mean, when you look at this team, a little bit of experience last week as well, playing over, but it just seemed like they could not hit the mark of really making every single endgame.
And you see that with, they do have that experience, but they're not as experienced as some. And you see that in these trios that, I want to say mid-tier, but mid-tier of the best, right? They're still the top of the top. But when it comes to a trio like Rescard, Hen, and Trulix, they're just a little bit behind because they haven't played together as much. They haven't had as many top tier performances. And so these situations are going to be a great experiences because yes, look, they showed, hey, we didn't do as well last week, but we're back again. And now back again, speaking of that, that's going to be Hen and Trulix back in the game.
There's a lot of the chunk splashes to kind of get all the way back up into fighting form on the outside. But if you look at their actual inventories and what they have to work with, this is bare bones. This is like challenges you would see on YouTube, you know, winning FNCS with just gray weapons. It's gonna be tough, really tough for these guys to really get back in the game. But if they make it through a crash site, there's so much new floor loot on the ground, sparse all the way and just spread out on the map, there's definitely something these guys can pick up. But now, Clay, people finally based up, they're taking high points, coming to sip those Floki right below them too. There's nowhere to go to reset the game. They have to play with what they have.
In all honesty, I think they're gonna have to work that down and try to fight because they're below surge. They don't really have an option, and that's on to Floki and company. That's going to be a big fight. Hen finally upgrades that pump shotgun, and they can take this. But 197 below, they need to start going now as that circle starts to close in. It's going to activate right after 202 below. Everyone around them is doing damage. They've got to be careful. But I like that Hen is setting up this trap, trying to find them catch like off guard. But look, they're going up and around. Hen does not know this, and they've got to be careful. But that's the one thing about the Orchard you have to be careful about: the fireflies.
Oh my God, there's fire everywhere, and he catches a big pump shotgun to the head. The entire house is basically gonna burn down in just a little bit. Walls now being claimed all around Hen. If it's not wood, it's basically not his until he gets back with Ref's guard, who has all those hard mats. But almost 300 below, you're right, Clay. They have to jump in and make the first move. And the worst part about it is that it has to be an all-in. They can't just go back and forth, pumps blow for blow. They don't have the mats for that. And now Hen's trying to move in from the backside. He takes a little bit of damage. Ref's guard has to come with him too. They're wall to wall now, but things are still burning around him.
And Trulix is nowhere to be found. He's off on the side. He doesn't have a shield, so he can't really do much. The box not going to be there for the enemy team. Refsguard able just to barely get away from Floki. But look, now they put pressure from other teams as well. This is great. They've trapped them in this three-way spray. If they can just get in, they have to go. They cannot stop pushing. They don't really have the ammo to keep going, but they need to. And you see the team up on the hill spraying. They've got to be careful, though. They're separating that team from the team on the hill. They need them to be pinched together.
And does get caught from the back. When you're setting up a trap, sometimes it might spring right onto you. It's Nate's team that's here. The south side is coming to play, and Refsguard's gonna be the shoe toy that's just gonna get gnawed on. One big shot to maybe get a little bit of damage and influence the fight past the facts. Nazy 1 HP. This entire fight cost the lives of two teams. And wow, Floki, Clement, Desymptos, they get to eat big.
And I thought for a moment, Floki, Clement, and Desymptos were gonna go down. There was so much pressure from the 4 different teams on them, but they just waited. They sat there. They said, yes, use all your ammo, use all your mats, whatever you need to do on us. We are going to survive. And then they took the opportunity and took down 2 essentially trios there. And it's 2 of the big ones.
2 of the big ones. This might have been one of the issues for Snazy, Skite, and Nate in general. There are so many teams kind of spawned in the south side. They're all at their POIs. They're not contested. They all move away from each other, and you don't pick up surge. You might be forced to fight just like they did right now, right? And then at the same time, Floki, Clement, Desymptos, they're moving the earliest. They might be fine on surge. They'll let these teams play around them. They'll let the pressure come down and then pick up the scraps. I mean, those are way more than scraps. That's 4 players' bodies. That's free launch pads. That's so much that you have to play with now. And as we look at low ground a little bit, we're going to tune into some of the people who like to take height earlier on that have higher bases. Here are Aqua, Fast, Roki moving around the edge. There is a team that's about to block him off right in front of them after these builds, but Aqua should have a contingency plan to get right past them.
And the combination of CR and Aqua had always intrigued me, because you have Aqua, who is this high ground warrior, and then you have CR, who's just gonna hop in any box, fight anybody that he wants to. It doesn't matter. And you would think, oh, that really wouldn't work out. But if Aqua can get to the end game with CRR up, it's just such a beautiful match. And I'm excited to see what they can do here this week, because they are great. Aqua is one of the best players in the world. He's proven that, but he just hasn't had that team behind him the past couple seasons.
They're definitely kind of beasts, but this week need to change up and be a different animal completely, right? They were here last week. They were looking good. I mean, record holders in the way they take height and the way they pressure other teams. They have to go past and get more records. be more than they even are. It seems impossible, but they can do it, especially with what you're mentioning, the beast on a leash aspect of CRR, the wildness of Fastaroki, the way he takes plays. I mean, they're very individualized. And then this team we're watching right now, the Hyptos, Clement, Floki, they always end up doing things together, always breaking things down in the same type of mindset, all looking at the same things. It's two very cool flavors, and they both look to be a little bit elevated overall on their bases on the same side of the zone. I wonder exactly if they'll clash, what their game plan is for endgame, because one of the big things about having a North Zone over here, look at what we're looking at right now. Lots of hills, lots of elevation. If you control height, you basically get to dictate the pace of the game.
There's a lot of open space as well between those two hills. Nobody is based up there. You see, no one wants to go there, and it doesn't matter. We're going all the way to Craggy, the north most possible zone we could get. We're getting it right now. And what's interesting about Craggy is there's so many spots that you can't just go through. There's so much straight elevations as well. This is one of those spots that if you haven't played a zone around it, it gets very tricky.
And then we also get to rename the game, right? No longer is this game one. This is Taste and Chapix and Reasons game. No matter what happens, even if they end up choking here towards the end, they should have some of the best spots to control. Maybe they over-rotated on their movement and aren't really in completely Craggy Cliffs, but they should have a good lay of the land, who's coming in, who's coming out. They have basically the facts, the biographies of every single trio's movement here. And Stacey will survive, had the med kit, and try to get his team as much placement by himself. I don't think the win will be coming through, but it's cool to see what he'll do in Tastin's land.
Solo impact score. He's trying to get it up there for right now, but he's got some saving grace, right? That mythic burst AR, it could take down a person in just a couple bursts. Hey, as a solo, that's one of the best weapons to have in your inventory, other than that legendary or epic pump shotgun. Obviously, you want that, but in a great spot. No one really knows he's there. It doesn't seem like anybody's pressuring him, but we'll wait on this surge. This is where the issue will lie. If he's just 32 above, that's nowhere near safe, and they're gonna have to find more tags.
As a solo, yeah, and there's not really an opportunity for just tags in a zone like this. It's mostly just full out fights. No one's really editing way out in the open. A lot of people who are good on Surge, like Aqua's team, you can see them at the bottom, not going to be exposing themselves to anything right now. And once again, in Craggy Cliffs, this zone in 30 seconds could really go anywhere. We go to a mountain zone if it pulls towards the right, we get completely aquatic going towards Aqua Island on the left. There's so many different things that can still happen, and no team's position is really completely advantageous until we figure it out.
Oh, and look at this little sneaky play. This is on Aqua and Company. Fury, Link, and Siberia Jake need Surge. Quick stat for everybody, though. A quarter of the players playing today played in the Chapter 2 Season 7 finals. That is, again, just showing how great Europe is. The top of the top will stay at the top and perform, and they need Surge, though. That's not what they're doing. They're not going for it. They're looking at peaks. They need to hop in. This is the thing with Surge. You can look for these peaks, you can look at it, but look, this is those areas. You can't build there, you can't go up. You have to go around, you have to find angles. They're gonna keep trying to find some. They get some damage, but look, they're back down. Link gonna go down, Jake gonna go down. Now it's all up to Fury. He's gotta try to find something, but nothing to be found. He goes for the loot, but look, this is an entire trio on the other side.
This is Aqua's trio that has some of the best basement security I've ever seen inside a building in Fortnite. Fury's making sure that this entire unfortunate Surge circumstance is not going to be completely free. But he does find one big pump, 45 below. It might save him. Down to 5 HP, knocks Crow, who has an insane loadout. We already know that, so there's lots of shields for him to take if he gets that finish. Fury keeping the dream alive, but no, is that fall damage that takes him out? I'm not sure. But a drastic play to try to save the game.
And he almost caught Crow, and now Crow's going to be pressured and end up going down because of it. And KPI as well, very low. And look at who's going to reap the benefits of it. It's going to be Taste and Reason and Chapix. Again, they've got the best positioning. They know how to fight around here. They know the lay of the land. This is their game. It is set up for them. They're above Surge as well. This is it. This is their game.
One of the best things to do when you have a big ground position is try to bully a team right beside you. Crow's teammate down. Definitely a very easy team to manipulate. Watch them move and then move after the fact. They have literally every factor in this game for them. A Craggy Cliff zone that they're supremely used to. Literally started the game over here, and a team to kind of play off of the entire time. That's being Crow's team, with Crow obviously knocked down.
My one issue is their AR, but you saw only 53 bullets there untasted. I'm not sure what they're working with everywhere else, but that is going to be an issue. Now with this zone being revealed, we'll see where that 6th zone is going to go. No one moving just yet, and that scares me because if no one has moved just yet, it's going to pull to the northeast. Nobody is safe right now. Yes, people are going to hold it, but that's not really on the high ground. That's not on the cliff. That's going to be just skirting around the outside edge.
That's gonna be way on the beach, so a lot of people might just choose to get a little bit elevated. Maybe you can get those low ground drops going, but if you make a mistake, you'll drop to low. That'll make things very difficult for those teams trying to keep it consistent. Let's see Snazy's POV as a solo player. Not too many mats available on the hard side, but he does have some wood to rock with. We'll try to recycle a base. 19 teams available on this beach vacation. And Snazy still keeping the dream alive. MXR goes down. Badil's gone down early, as is Mongrels. On height, it is Fast Roki, it is CRR, and Aqua. They live in the basement. They got their own place, Clay. I don't think they're moving out anytime soon.
They went literally from the basement of Craggy to the highest heights that we can see. Snazy gonna pick up another elimination, now sitting on 3, still somehow below though, operating very well. 65 builds. Look at the layer changes coming through. Nobody knows he's here. And when you have this opportunity on the low ground just to work with what you have, look, barely taking any damage.
He went all the way for a mid-ground lair. It is a big investment, still just the 6th zone. And yeah, he has slightly stabilized. Back inside the zone though to see if anything is happening in terms of pressure on that side, but nothing does. Tayson getting another knock on the feet as well. Flow is going down to Mustache, so another big clash happening. That's a full elim, and Scram goes down too. He's taking out big teams left, right, and center.
Chapik's Reason and Tayson though, look, they're looking to take the high ground, and they can because Zestin is fighting high ground for Strokey. The only one left there, the Loot Boy team gonna take him down. He's trying to just push forward, but again, that just leaves Chapik, Tayson, and Reason the opportunity to take high ground. We said it was their game. It's set up with them for the zone, and now they have height. What more? What could you ask for?
Hey, slow and steady wins the race. Aqua, just as usual with Fast Roki and CRR, always like to push their advantages as fast as possible. This time, end up tripping over their own feet. The Loop Boys are always up there too. Fast Roki goes for a big swim. Zestin picks up a few more eliminations inside that feed, and now this man's drowning. He needs something to save him.
Can he find a life vest, a lifeboat, anything there? No, the shot is going to hit, but it's not going to be enough. He's somehow able to survive for just a little bit, finds his cone, and edit it just in a way that protects him for the moment, but no, Zestin going to do it. And again, look at high ground. It's Reason and Chapik, his taste on there operating so well, but Loki, Clement, and Deceptor still down below doing well, trying to find any eliminations they can. We've got a lot of full trios left.
This is going to be a big stalemate for a bunch of them. Full metal tarps, the zone's bouncing back, and you can hear that not many AR shots are even being fired right now. How are Reason and Tayson supposed to penetrate these builds right below them? It's basically impossible. They're going for free mats too on the other side of these builds. Huge for them. There will be a little bit of pause and pressure for a lot of teams. But as this next zone comes in, we're going right back to Craggy, where the fight started, to the main house, and everyone's going to have to move.
Oh, but someone ended up getting a nice beam there in the taste, and luckily team was there to back him up, but no, someone's going for the high ground. A solo trying to clutch it up, trying to take it from them. They said, hey, we may be in Kragu, it may be your domain, but we want it back. Look who it is. It's gonna be Malabuka. They fought early, they fought in that mid game, and now they want to fight late game for a high ground.
Trying to go for it, and Zippos does get the big drop down. Floki is there trying to hit a few shots, a lot of pressure. Where's this happening? He gets a little bit lost inside the zone. They didn't do a big form of damage, and they'll still move by.
The great thing is they did so much more damage to everybody else than they did themselves, caused so much more chaos for everyone, and they're just sitting there chilling. Yes, they got another medkit, they're good. We've got Airkin down there as well. Look at all the chaos being caused in the mid ground, while high ground, we're just chilling.
So trying to go for the beams. Zip goes all the way down low, controls that entire low ground. They'll be the last form of entry, but he's going to go down to Aiken on the side. So 2v2, while Tayson, Reason, Chapix, they break down. Big wood builds, easy replaces. Tayson gets actually knocked while moving all the way towards low ground, but it'll be a 2v2 towards the height. Mustache and Malabuka trying to stay alive. All of that Solar Squad has basically been taken out, and now we just have those height teams remaining.
And they have to go down because it's going into the main building of Craggy Cliffs. They can't just sit there and spray, and Reason recognizes that nice shots there, going to take him down very low. No, not going to find him. Trying to find the shots. Will get that one. He's the last one remaining. No, the clutch is not going to be there. They go down. It's going to be Malabuka with the clutch victory royale.
Last minute entry entrance to the tournament. First game win right there from Malabuka, Mustache, and Shizo. I mean, they had a very good off-spawn drop. They had very good mid-game management, and one of the sickest end games we've seen at Craggy.